Okay, question 14, and I have a feeling I'm gonna get deported. Hello everyone and welcome to an extra midweek video. And that's because I kinda fancied playing a little game. And it's called How British Am I?
Can we just ask you how happy you're feeling right now?
I'm bloody miserable, actually.
So basically in the UK, and I'm pretty sure almost every other country in the world, will have a certain kind of test, a citizenship test, that people from different countries have to take in order to become a citizen of that country. And these questions can range from kind of cultural topics to like food stuff and like the way of living and the history of that particular country. And I want to see if I can pass a citizenship test to get into the UK, even though I already live here and I'm a resident here and I was born and raised here, just to see how hard it is. I haven't done any revision or anything because I am quite curious how difficult it is for people to become a citizen. Hopefully it's not too hard. I feel like the UK is quite shitty when it comes to I don't even know how to put it into words. Not letting people in, because that's like a shit way of putting it. Of welcoming. That's the word I was looking for. I feel like as a country we're not particularly welcoming of basically anyone else, which I don't think's fair. If I was in charge, A, I would make the tests a lot easier, and B, I just want everyone to come. Like, what's wrong with it? I don't understand. We all just live on the same planet. Like, does it really matter? And some people are literally I'm not going to get into this conversation at the very beginning of this video because I'll go off on one and we'll go on ranty ant will come out, so we'll skip that. You know what I mean though. But I'm hoping it's not too difficult. And at the end of the day, if a UK resident struggles to pass this test, then it obviously needs to be made easier for everyone else, because it's not fair. And everyone else can play along at home. Get a pen and paper or a phone or an iPad or whatever you want to use, and you can play along and see if you beat us. Okay, so I'm on a website called lifeintheuk.testweb.co.uk/exams if you wanted to take some of these tests yourself. And they're split up into what looks like 16 different exams that you can take. And I think the original UK citizenship test is over 100 questions long and it's timed, whereas this I think is in smaller sections and these are kind of like little revision ones. I think that's what it is. So if you're wanting to become a UK citizen as well, maybe go on this website and have a little practice, because I looked into it as well and it costs over £1,000 to take one of these UK citizenship tests, you know. That's a lot of money, the hell of a lot of money. I couldn't afford that. Okay, so I think these are all random and mixed. I think we'll go for exam 15 and I'm hoping none of these questions are about history or about the royal family, because I'm terrible with history and I give zero shits about the royal family. So if it's any of them two topics, I'm screwed. I'm gonna completely fail. This is gonna be so embarrassing as well if I do terrible. I should know these answers technically. Okay, let's begin. Exam 15. Right, it's timed. I've got 24 questions and I've got 45 minutes to answer them all. That's okay, that's fine. Okay, first question. Which two languages were used across England during the Middle Ages? I don't know, what's this?
Which two languages we...
Oh, it reads it out for you. Middle Ages. I think it's going to be... Middle Ages, that's like really old.
No way.
I told you history ones are going to proper screw us over. I think we'll go Anglo-Saxon and Gaelic, is it called? Gaelic? Yeah? We'll go for them. Why not? I was wrong. It was Norman French. So if you've got Norman French and Anglo-Saxon, you're correct. I was wrong. In 1776, which British colonies declared their independence because they demanded that there should be no taxation without representation? I think I know this one. Yeah, I'm sure it was North America. I think it was like Canada, kind of Quebec area, or like below Quebec. Newfoundland, I think it's called. And then the top of the United States. I think we colonized them. And then something to do with that. I've watched a video on it. I think it's North America. I'm putting it in. I hope I'm right. Yeah, I'm right. When was England ruled by a republic and not by a monarch? When Elizabeth I died without any successor, when Charles I was executed, when the Carta Magna restricted the king's power, when King Harold died after the Battle of Hastings. I don't know. I literally have no idea. I'm assuming it's the Carta Magna one because that's like sticking out to us. Because surely with all the others, if any kings or queens died, the relatives would have just taken over the throne from them. So I'm assuming it's going to have to be this one. Well, I'm sealing it in. It's going to have to be that one. I have no idea. I was wrong. When Charles I was executed, alright. England declared itself a republic called the Commonwealth. It no longer had a monarch. Okay, fair enough, whatever. Question 4. Which film produced in the UK was one of the most commercially successful films of all time and one of the highest grossing film franchises? Well, I know it's not Spider-Man and I know it's not Indiana Jones, but I'm pretty sure I know Harry Potter. Parts of that though, the whole film wasn't filmed in the UK or produced. I think it's Harry Potter. It's either Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings, and I'm gonna go for Harry Potter. Yeah, okay, I was right. Get down. Question number 5. When did the first farmers come to Britain? I don't know, I assumed farmers were always just around. I thought they were around since the kind of dawn of civilization. Well, it'll have been a long time ago. I'm thinking 15,000, but I think that might be wrong. I'm gonna go kind of middle-ish of the pack and go 10,000 years ago. I have literally no idea. Oh, it was 6. That's not very long ago. 6,000 years ago. I thought there'd be levels of farming throughout all of history, unless the farmers are something specific and I don't know. Oh well, I got it wrong anyway. When did the First World War end? It was in 1914. Oh, you have to have the time. Was it in... or did it start in 1914 and end in 1918? I think it might have ended in 1918 actually and started in 1914. How am I supposed to know the time? I'm going to assume it was 12 p.m. because that's at lunchtime. 1918. I could be totally wrong with this. Right, I'm sealing it in. Oh, I got the time wrong. I got the date right. I got the time wrong. It was in the morning. I was very close with that one. I feel like I should have got that one right if it wasn't for the time. Question 7. Can court orders be obtained to protect a person from being forced into a marriage? Well, yeah, I assume so. I would hope so. Yes. I'd be quite shocked if that wasn't the case. Question number 8. What medal did Mary Peters win in the 1972 Olympics? I don't know who Mary Peters is, and I'm not particularly great with sports questions either. Why does someone who is wanting citizenship into the UK need to know this question? Like, what's the relevance of it? I don't feel like this is an important question to identify whether you kind of belong or fit into the UK. It's a stupid question. I think these are official questions that get asked as well. I'm going to say she didn't win any medals just because it sticks out, but I have literally no idea. Ah, she won gold. Okay, good for her. Never mind. Question number 9. I'm doing terrible. Question number 9. In England, Wales and Northern Ireland, youth court cases are normally heard by... Choose 2 answers. Up to 3 specially trained magistrates, a district judge, a sheriff, up to 5 specially trained magistrates. Well, it's not a sheriff because we don't have sheriffs in the UK. I assume it'll be a district judge. I don't think they would have 5. I think they would have 3. I'm gonna go for 3. I could be really wrong with this one. I definitely don't think it's a sheriff though. Okay, I'm sealing them in. Yeah. I was right. Oh, I'm getting questions right, yay. Okay, question number 10. What was invented by Alan Turing in the 1930s? I know this one because he was the guy who, I think he kind of saved almost the world in World War One. Or World War Two. I can't remember which one it was. Because he was gay, wasn't he? And it was World War Two because it was the Nazis. And he did something with codes, didn't he? But I don't know what he invented. He didn't invent the television, the jet engine, or the ballpoint pen. Or the ball pen. I think it's going to be the Turing machine. Or Turing machine. I can't remember how to pronounce his name. I think that's right. I hope it's right. Yeah, it is. Yeah, because he did a lot of code that I think broke the communication between the Nazis and someone else, and he managed to figure out what was going on or something like that.
Well, that makes sense, yeah.
As you can see, I know kind of vague facts, but not concrete facts about things that have happened in the world. Okay, question 11. Which of the following tells us about how people lived in England just after the Norman Conquest? I don't even know what the Norman Conquest is. So it's either the Domesday Book, the Book of Common Prayer, the Canterbury Tales, or the Carta Magna. Well, it's not the Domesday Book. I feel like it could be the Canterbury Tales. But I, again, have absolutely no idea. I hope everyone who's watching this is doing just as bad as I am, because I'm doing shocking. I'm sealing it in, I have no idea. It was the Doomsday Book. That's the only one I said. It wasn't that one. I thought the Doomsday Book was like fake. William sent people all over England to draw up lists of all the towns and villages. The people who lived there, who owned the land, and what animals they owned were also listed. This was called the Doomsday Book. It still exists today and gives a picture of society in England just after the Norman Conquest. I thought that was like a fake sci-fi answer.
Stop talking.
I didn't realise the Doomsday Book was an actual thing. Oh, I'm so terrible. Okay, next question. Number 12. Who led a team of scientists to split the atom for the first time? I don't know. I literally don't know. I know it wasn't Alan Turing because he was to do with the kind of codes and stuff. So it's either Alexander Fleming, Alex Turing, Ernest Rutherford, or Sir Peter Mansfield. I have a weird feeling it might be Alexander Fleming, but again, I have literally absolutely no idea what the answer is, so I'm just gonna guess. Ernest Rutherford. Alright, I was wrong again. Okay, question 13. What song is sung by people in the UK and other countries when they are celebrating the New Year? I know this one.
It's about time.
Is it Auld Lang Syne, the British anthem, Jingle Bells, or White Christmas? So seal your answers in because I already know it and I've sang it many a times, but I don't actually know the words, so I sing the first part and then just kind of do the ma 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 because I don't know the words. But it's the Auld Lang Syne. I hope everyone else does that and doesn't know the full words to certain songs and just kind of goes along with the melody. Okay, question 14, and I have a feeling I'm gonna get deported. Who fought the English Civil War in 1642? I don't know. The House of York and the House of Lancaster, the Anglo-Saxons and the Vikings, the Cavaliers and the Roundheads, the House of Fraser and the House of Stuart. The English Civil War in 1642, that was a long time ago. Wow! I feel like the Vikings were later than 1642. I'm gonna put the Cavaliers and the Roundheads because I literally, again, have no idea. I'm just gonna guess. Oh, I guessed right. Yes. Oh, I'm so lucky. Yeah, because Vikings came later, I'm sure. And I don't know what the other two are, but the Cavaliers and the Roundheads, they sound very medieval, don't they? And that was like olden day times, so, you know, it worked out for us. Question 15. Which two of these forts were part of Hadrian's Wall? I've been to Hadrian's Wall, but I don't know what forts are which. Vindolanda, Maiden Castle, Housesteads, Grimsby. Yeah, I've been to Hadrian's Wall. I actually stayed in a cottage close to Hadrian's Wall. And if you don't know what Hadrian's Wall is, it's a wall. I think that kind of separated Scotland and England when they were kind of fighting and stuff. And it's a very long wall.
Stop talking.
But I'm pretty sure Maiden Castle's one of them. And I have a feeling Housestead's one of them as well. It's definitely not Grimsby, and I've never heard of that one before, so I'm pretty sure it's them too. I really hope I'm right, and I have a feeling I am right. Oh, what? Vindolanda? I've never heard of that before. Well, that's completely news to me. I'd literally never heard of Vindolanda before. I thought it was a made-up thing. At least I know now, and I know for next time if it ever pops up. Question 16. What was the religion of the Puritans? Was it Hindu, Catholic, Sikh, or Protestant? I don't even know who the Puritans are. I don't think it's going to be Hindu or Sikh. I think it's either going to be Protestant or Catholic. And I think if they're calling themselves the Puritans, which sounds kind of short for purity, it would align more with Catholics because they think of themselves like that even though they're not really like that. I'm going to take a kind of educated guess and try Catholic. Oh no, it was Protestant. The Puritans were a group of Protestants who advocated strict and simple religious doctrine and worship. Alright, good for them. What is the name of Irish people who favoured complete independence from the UK in the 19th century? Was it Fenians, Quakers, Highlanders, or suffragettes? I know it's not suffragettes because that was the women who wanted the vote and were fighting for the vote, wasn't it? So I know it's not that. I don't think it would be Highlanders because that would kind of be more to do with Scotland. So I'm thinking it's either Quakers or Fenians. I don't think it's Quakers either. I think that would be more of a Scottish thing. I'm assuming, taking an educated guess because I don't know the answer, I'm going to put Fenians. I'm gonna have to, I don't know the answer. Yeah, it worked out. Okay, question 18. Which two British pop music groups were famous during the swinging 60s? Well, I should know this one. It's either the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, ABBA, or Radiohead. Well, I know one of them's gonna be the Beatles, and it's a British pop music group. ABBA's not British, ABBA's Swedish. I think it'll be the Rolling Stones. I don't think it's Radiohead. I'm gonna go for Rolling Stones. Yeah, I am. Oh. Thank God for that. Okay, question 19. What is the minimum age required to drive a motorcycle? Is it 16 years old, 17, 18, or 21? I'm actually not entirely sure. Can we drive a car at 16? Well, yeah, we can drive cars at 16. Can we? Yeah, we can. No, 17's a car. 17's a car. 16's a scooter. I'm thinking it might be 18. I don't think it's going to be 21. But also, wouldn't it be 17? Because you can drive a car at 17. I'm not actually sure. I think it might potentially be 18 years old. I think it might be different to a car. I hope I'm right. No, it is 17. I should have gone with 17. I knew it was 17. I'm such an idiot. Yeah, because 17, you can drive a car, so you should be able to drive a motorcycle, shouldn't you? Never mind. That was my own stupid fault. I second-guessed myself. Okay, question number 20. The members of the House of Lords, known as peers, are elected by the people. Is that true or false? I know the answer to this, and it's false, because the House of Lords, which I think Labour wants to get abolished, are actually elected by, like, the government, kind of put these other House of Lords people in charge. So I know it's false. We don't get to vote on it. I do know politics. I'm quite clued up on politics. Modern day politics, not olden day politics. Question 21. Is everyone doing as poorly as I am? I hope so. When did the Emancipation Act abolish slavery throughout the British Empire? I have absolutely no idea. So the options are 1835, 1823, 1807 or 1833. I'm assuming it's either going to be 1835 or 1833. I'm just going to take a wild guess and say 1833. Oh, I'm right. Yes. It's honestly kind of shocking to think about how long ago was that? A couple of 100 years ago, and like slaves were a thing, and that was just like acceptable and perfectly fine. It's quite shocking when you put certain things into perspective and how many years have actually passed. And 200 years sounds like a long time, but it's not a long time at all. That is 200 years, isn't it? Yeah, well, even less than 200 years ago. Number 22. Who is responsible for crime, policing and immigration? I know this one already. Is it the Chancellor of the Exchequer, the Foreign Secretary, the Speaker or the Home Secretary? Put your answer down, but I already know this one. It is the Home Secretary, I think. I'm second guessing myself now. I'm pretty sure it's the Home Secretary. Yeah, it is. That's the thing. If I ever went on a game show, I would constantly second guess myself, even if I knew I was right. I was like, oh, but am I right? And question 23, what kind of genre was the film Wallace and Gromit created by Nick Parr? Was it a soap opera, a silent movie, an animated film, or an action film? I know this question as well. I hope everyone else knows this question, because Wallace and Gromit is fantastic.
Get off me keys!
But it is an animated film. I knew that one. I didn't have to second guess myself at all. And the final question for this little test, anyone who is violent towards their partner, whether they are a man or a woman, married or living together, can be prosecuted. True or false? And I'm pretty sure, and I hope I know what this answer is, but it's true. We have lots of laws in place in the UK, and rightly so. Yeah, of course it's true. Okay, it's time to finish the quiz and see what I suppose my results were like. You have reached 14 of 24 points. I got 58.33%. Oh, I failed the test. The average score's really low though. Is that what people got? So yeah, I got 58% and I failed. So I would obviously... Or would I get deported or something if I wasn't already living here? Would the Tories send us to Rwanda? I don't know. They probably would. They don't care about people.
Sending migrants packing. Same-sex marriage, not blacking.
And honestly, that was like a really hard test. For someone already living in the UK, I obviously struggled with a lot of them questions. So for someone who isn't even from here to know that kind of stuff, but also I find a lot of that stuff really irrelevant to why that matters on becoming a citizen of the UK. I feel like if you want to become a citizen of the UK, you should be taught or you should know kind of the basics of society and how the country operates, rather than who won a gold medal back in the 70s, or what languages did they speak when this war happened in like the 1600s or something. Like, why does that matter? Why does that prove how good you are of a person to live in the UK and be a citizen of the UK? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. And the average British person, you ask them questions, a lot of them questions they're not going to know either. It's crap. Completely crap. And I'm not saying it just because I failed. But let me know down in the comments if you beat me in this test. I got 14 out of 24 questions correct. I haven't set the bar very high, have I? And also, I find this quite a fun concept. So let me know down in the comments whether you think I should do citizenship tests from other countries as well, without obviously any revision, and which countries I should do, and see if I can actually become a citizen of other countries. To be fair, if I can't become a citizen of my own country, I've got absolutely no chance of joining anyone else's, have I? But our questions were crap. If I was designing the questions, I would have questions like, let me think of like a really British thing. If you're making a cup of tea, do you offer to make someone else a cup of tea? True or false, yes or no? And obviously the answer is yes. You have to offer someone else a cup of tea. If you don't, you're just so rude. I don't know, like stuff about like queuing. People need to know about like the culture of queuing in the UK, because that's very important. You stand in a line and you wait your turn. Passive aggressiveness, that's another thing British people are very good at. I think people need to learn about how to be very passive aggressive. So lots of side eyes, lots of like touching, like that's a very British thing. Like if you're very pissed off with someone, you don't like tell them you're really angry with them or pissed off with them, you go That's a British thing. That's what people need to learn. But hopefully you have enjoyed this little quiz and watching me fail miserably at it. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And I'll see you on Friday where I put all my British knowledge to use. I'm just kidding. I'm not doing anything with my knowledge. Because I don't know anything.